Hi, this is Luke Kenny. Please subscribe to BollywoodLife.com for all the latest film news and gossip.
So here we are with Luke Kenny, who's one of the first guys along with Devki Singh to be making India's first zombie movie, and we're just going to chat a little bit about how it turned out and what you guys could expect from the movie, which is India's first ever zombie flick. So okay, Luke, we start with what's with being the zombie Brad Pitt of India. Like, how did that come about?
Well, that was just a fun analogy that we did since Brad's World War Z is coming out, and since I guess I'm the only white guy in the industry, so that analogy is it's like kind of you can't escape that. So yeah.
So okay, and so this is like the first zombie flick, and could you tell us like with you, I mean acting in the movie as well as directing, what was your biggest deal with that? Was it like makeup pose, or what was it like? Being in that.
No, well, see, fortunately, we had a good team with us as well. Also, our co-producers. I'm part producer. Me and Devki are part producers in the film as well. Well, see, everything has its own compartment. So, producing, you're directing, and then you're acting. Once your production side, you got to take care of making sure that the crew's on set and everything that you need for the particular shot is there, and then as a director you make sure the shot is set up ready, and then of course as an actor you go and perform in that shot as well also. Well, yes, makeup woes were there because the makeup in the film is a gradual deterioration. So from half an hour to 4 hours was the general makeup graduation in how long I had to sit for makeup, and which also turned out really very well as you will see in the film.
So what's the movie about? Is it scary, funny? Is it a thriller?
It's a drama, because we're following the story of this one character who is a wildlife photographer, and he's so passionate about his work that he doesn't really bother about anything else, be it relationships, be it friends, family, or whatever. And on one impulsive fallout with his girlfriend, he just takes off on his own trip without informing anybody, and then things happen to him. So you're moving along with him, seeing him change and deteriorate, and he's doing all these very, very bad things. So you are feeling repulsive, but at the same time you're also feeling sorry. So it's more like a human drama / zombie origin film.
So, like with the gore, because considering it's a zombie flick, there's got to be blood and there's got to be gore and things tearing apart and stuff like that. So, what was it like?
See, I can tell you all about it, but then I'll have to kill you. No, there's lots of stuff that's there in the film, which you have to see in the film as well also. But it's just the right amount, so that audiences are not too repulsed, but at the same time they're also intrigued and they're drawn in by the whole situation. So yes.
And what about like your own inspirations with zombie movies? When was the time that you got introduced to the genre and you saw your first one?
I guess when I was really, really young, I first saw Evil Dead, and then I saw Night of the Living Dead, which is George Romero's 1968 film, and it these were the big. It kind of like intrigued me. I said, like, what is this? I mean, because I had seen the other supernatural horrors before that, The Exorcist and Omen and stuff like that. That was the time when horror began to break into the mainstream as well also. And then I said, oh, this is nice. And then of course Michael Jackson's Thriller happened. And I said, I've just seen these guys in a black and white film, and now they're dancing to with Michael Jackson. There's got to be something to this. So then that started the whole trend of the 80s zombie films and then the 90s zombie films, and now of course they become such extravaganzas. So yeah.
Right. And so being the first one over here in this genre, what does it feel like? Are you the whole field is open for you, in India, making the first zombie film, it's all pretty much open. Were there things that you had to learn while making the movie, and things that you had to kind of pick up while you were making this?
No, I think, filmmaking is still a learning process, no matter how established or how perfect you may be. With every film comes its own learning process, because you're always working with a different story, which means different budgets, which means different crew, different actors, different locations, blah blah blah. Particularly in this case, we were going to go and shoot in a remote location, which was the jungles of Uttarakhand, where we did our pre-production reconnaissance, and we realized, okay, what all is available, what all is not available. So yeah, everything comes with its own logistical, nightmares that you need, be it that, and you got to work around that. So yeah. So, I mean, well, yes, you do have a certain background of, guerrilla film, making, of how to do with, I mean, how to get the most out of the least that you have. And yeah, so those were learnings as well also.
And and also you've been in the music scene since since a long time now, and we all owe the great songs in Channel V to you, So what about the music in this movie? What kind of you decided to put in this one, which kind of what?
Well, I decided to, I mean, since we're, the film had a very international aesthetic and outlook, being a Hindi film, I wanted the soundtrack also to be, very different from what has been done in Hindi films up to now. So there is no one music director who composed 6 songs, and they hire a lyricist and they hire a bunch of singers to come in and sing, and, and that's it. And also because, as you mentioned, I've been part of the music scene, so I've also been part of the independent music scene, being an independent musician myself. I wanted to tap that demographic, that community, because there's a whole lot of musicians out there who are writing and producing their own music. So why not let a new beginning be made, where you say you're making a Hindi film, okay, it's a new genre, which also has a new kind of musicality to it. So it's India's first independent Hindi film soundtrack. So I tapped in a lot of friends, independent musician friends, and some of them who are also very well entrenched in the playback Hindi film playback scene. And I know they're songwriters in their own right as well also. So I said, let me give that opportunity a shot. So I contacted Suraj Jagan, I asked Karalisa, I asked Aditi, I contacted Bidu. I said, give me a song that you guys will completely produce, write, lyrics and everything. And I'll add it in the film. So it's like a compilation soundtrack, which features in the film in poignant moments as well. Also.
So is it like a great album to listen to?
Absolutely. There are 12 songs in the film. Some of them have 2 language versions as well also. Like the Suraj song is Hindi and in English. It's the same song but different lyrics. And there's a Swedish folk song by Sofia Janok. There is a club number by Bidu, which has been reversioned by Ray and Brotherhood. There is a ballad which is Karalisa's All Alone ballad. I've written 3 songs. There's a punk song called Tripwire in it. So it's a complete good collection, compendium of all that is indie today in the music front.
And that's pretty cool, because your movie reeks of indie, because with the whole the whole huge budgets going crazy and all, but there's no good content, so how do you make sure that this is also good content as well as it looks sleek and kind of doesn't
Well, I think the key thing to maintain, the 2 key things to maintain when you're making a film like this, is story. And is pace, So just because traditionally Hindi films have been 2 hours, 2.5 hours, that doesn't mean you need to make a film that fits that time bracket. You make the film as long as you need to make for the story to roll out. If your story rolls out in 80 minutes, then it's an 80-minute film. If it's 82, 83, 88, 90, whatever it be. So you don't want to generally just lengthen the story for the sake of adding commercial elements into it. Audiences are smartened up to that now. They don't, they can tell when they're being taken for a ride. So you've got to keep that integrity to well controlled.
Right. And so we were talking about Thriller, right? The music video with Michael Jackson, and there's also an Indian version of that video. So was that
Chiranjeevi.
Exactly.
There are 2 actually.
There are 2.
Yeah, there's one with Chiranjeevi where he does exactly the ditto dancing and the dress as well also.
Right.
Then there was a horror film called Samri with Jagdeep in it, which had music by Bappi Lahiri.
Right.
So that is a full, fun take on, Jagdeep trying to do the Michael Jackson thing, but of course, completely taking the piss. And then you had all the, guys getting up in there. The typical tacky, Ramsey kind of thing.
So was there anything Indian to fall back on, to just look for directions, because this is like a debut venture for you two as a director, so was there anything to kind of...
Well, not a debut. We made a film called 13th Floor in 2006. So this is our kind of like a second mainstream venture, as in it'll get a mainstream release as opposed to a very small 2-theater release, which was the earlier film. You're talking about precedents? Nothing. There was nothing to look back on, because you are telling an origin story. Right. If you're making a zombie survival film, you can look at the 40 years of zombie survival films and say, okay, this is what they did, this is what they did, this is what they did, this is what we'll try and do different. But as a survival film is a survival film. You can only set it in a different place. Right. At the same time, you're doing at the end of the day, you're doing the same thing. A bunch of people surviving, a bunch of zombies. It's just that the locations keep changing and the setting keeps changing. In this case, there was no precedent because there's no origin film ever been made.
Right.
There is no story that's ever been written which tells you the story of this one human being and what happens.
Right.
So it's an absolute, we made it up from, from point to point, from plot point to plot point, which Devki will tell you about here.
What about entering the movies before this? Why didn't you do that? We saw Rock On and, you were like pretty spot on in that, and like, what about before that? Why didn't you...
Well, there was Bombay Boys before that in 1998, which was
So why did you continue? Why these like stop gaps and like,
Well, see, our industry has been, a victim of typecasting for a good 20-30 years. If one particular character looked a certain way and was accepted in a certain way, then that particular actor was, unfortunately destined to be that same character for the rest of his career in the industry.
Right.
I mean, we've seen various examples with people like Keshto Mukherjee and, Shetty Saab, and even the big stars at that point in time had to be themselves in every film. Anil Kapoor was always Anil Kapoor in every film. He never became the character that he was, So, but that's the trappings of the way Hindi films have always been. After Bombay Boys, I got the opportunities to, all the offers that I get were either to play a foreigner or to play a musician, which again I didn't want to do. With Rock On, yes, the opportunity came to play a musician, but not a foreigner. So it was accepted at face value. There was no question of, but he looks like this, so how come he's doing this and how come he's doing that? There was no questions of that sort, which is what endeared me to the part and to the role as well, and also that it was a parallel story of 4 people, not a story of one person with 3 hangers on.
Right.
So it was very well done and it rolled out really well, so it really added. But in spite of that, after that, the offers that I got were all again to play the musician.
Right. And a white
and of course to play and a white one and to play the the Angrez all over again. So I said, like, if I'm going to sit around waiting for good quality parts to come my way, then that's never going to happen. So with the indie scene, really opening up right now, and a lot of like-minded people wanting to put, invest into cost-effective projects, which you can make because technology has allowed that. You don't need 35mm cameras where you pay, 20,000 rupees a day to rent. Now you can, buy your own, 5D camera and go out and shoot a film and you can put it up on screen. So technology has also made projects more cost-effective where you can really be true to your story, and the investors, if whoever they may be, will not be shy of saying, okay, I don't know you, you don't have any track record in whatever you're doing, but I know I won't lose too much money if I lose money.
Right.
So in this case, you pick a genre, you pick a story, and you pick that talks to a target audience where you know that even if it caters to that singular target audience, you'll recover your investment. So it's a very you back budget, you back project and stuff like that, and you make your project really viable in every way. So today's technology, today's audience tastes have made these things like these possible.
Right. And also this is like quite a young movie from what I've seen and what I've observed. It's pretty much like all those college students out there, all those young ones, they love to kind of watch it because this is what they've been missing out on. They've been given out like these big budget commercial Bollywood ones. So what do you think is in for the young ones? Like what do you think is in for the college guys? And,
those very same young ones have been consuming international pop culture in truckloads. Be it the graphic novels, be it the video games, be it the the other international films of the same genre. So they're very well clued into what it is that when you say you're making a zombie film, they know what it is that you're trying to do over here. So which is why we're going out there and saying in a countless interview saying that, okay, you've been familiar with all these kind of zombie films internationally till now. Here is an origin story. So it's simple. It's just the story of this one guy. So for a large period of time, you'll see this one guy, doing various things. So, come expecting a beginning, a new beginning, and a very simple and a very earthy and organic beginning.
So what about your co-actors in the movie? Like, there's Kirti who was like...
There's Kirti, there's Ashwin, there's Benji. Yeah, well,
So were you involved with casting them and were you involved with the whole process, or were you like, just concentrating on the story and your acting bit?
Well, Devki has a good, casting sense. So, whenever she writes a character, she kind of like, goes through the whole spectrum of whoever is out there and finds the right kind of person who will fit into that particular character regardless. And obviously you try and chasing the names and the faces only delays your project.
Pretty much.
Yes, they add value to it. They might bring in a lot of investment opportunities, but they only delay your project and delay your storytelling. And your controller as well also.
Right.
So you've got to try and stay true to find the right actor to play the part. And in this case, we saw Kirti, had seen Kirti doing Shaitan, and she was fantastic in that. Ashwin has been, a veteran of a lot of films, over 22 films he's done, so we've seen him in a lot of films. And Benji sir is a senior, actor as well also. So they all fit the kind of, characters that we had thought of, and we knew that, it will be great to work with them because some of them Ashwin we know personally as well also. So yeah.
Right. So how much of the movie has this indie spirit? Is it has it turned out to be what you guys intended it to? Just basically balls out on your story per se, script per se, So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, she wrote it like we saw it, and then we shot it like we wanted it to play out on screen, and it's been performed exactly like how we've, how the scenes have been written, how the actors have we wanted them to speak as well also, and of course one thing we really made sure was that the look of the film has to look international. So because now today's audiences are very, very clued into the Hollywood releases,
right.
and they're all fantastic looking films, with big budgets who've taken the time to do that kind of framing and the cinematography and so on and so forth. So we knew exactly how we wanted to see the film, and when we're looking back now as we're working on it, finishing it, it's exactly what we wanted to be.
Hi everyone, we're with Devki Singh, who's co-directing along with Luke Kenny the first ever zombie flick in India, Rise of the Zombie. And so here we are talking with her about her first movie. And so Devki, tell us, how was it being associated with the movie and co-directing it? And
I mean, as we were talking earlier, and so Luke and I are huge film buffs, film fans, geeks, especially horror. So, I mean, horror is something that we kind of literally seek out every little movie that exists out there. I mean, whatever genre, whatever language, and from whichever corner of the world. So basically, we are always discussing horror first before everything else.
Right.
So anyhow, so we thought why not it be us who makes that zombie movie, because there isn't any in India. And we would have probably gone ahead and made it even more basic than I mean, we got the opportunity to make a proper film now. But we met an old friend of Luke's, Rahul from Luminosity Pictures, and well, he also got excited at the thought that why not make a zombie film, and so he backed us. And so we were lucky to kind of actually execute our passion and plan and whatever, and then here we are, actually have made it today and are just waiting to unleash it, actually.
So when did you start working on it, the movie, basic, I mean scripting stage?
Okay.
When was that?
I think this was around 2011. So it may be nearly maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And once we decided that we are going ahead with this, and so I kind of just started, and and then we did decide that let's keep it very basic. So obviously we were not going to have even medium-sized budgets, whatever those are. But
it's a true independent film.
Absolutely. So we thought, let's contain it. Let's keep it straightforward, simple. So we decided to keep it about just one zombie. So we thought, okay, let's just tell this simple story of one guy turning into a zombie and see what happens to him. And in that way, we are also introducing what a zombie is to an Indian audience who may not the majorities at least may not be aware of that.
Now this is like this crazy independent film that you guys have come up with, which I'm sure like, a lot of young folks are gonna like. So do you plan to like travel with it to festivals and stuff? Have you guys thought about that? Because I'm sure this is something people will be interested in.
Yeah, I mean, we would love to. I mean, definitely. I mean, that's the idea of making it, giving it a look that could be very international. It's definitely not got the masala or like a typical Bollywood movie. So yes, we were very definite that it had to be a Hindi movie from India by filmmakers in India, which is our whole team. But it had to have an international feel and look. So even any person, fan, watching a movie in any part of the world could want to watch it or check it out without having a preconceived notion that, oh, this is a Bollywood movie. So we would like to, after kind of delivering the baby out here, we would like to take it to international festivals. Why, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah. And now, like, considering, like, being a like a woman director who's, doing like a horror film, I guess this is also another first because, there's, I mean, in Bollywood at least there haven't been like a lot of...
I'm not aware of that, if there have been any other or not.
Right.
But yeah, we've got the chance to make ours and I'm like so excited.
So how much of a chance did this movie give you to go all out crazy with like stuff, because there's a lot of blood, a lot of gore and like,
Yes. So yes, of course, but at the same time, we kind of are aware that certain things are not doable in our country. We can't just go berserk with what we really would have liked to show. But so we've kind of taken the middle path. So we've kind of, gone the zombie route, but again, we're turning slowly. So we've done a lot of things which are probably suggestive as opposed to bam, bam, bam. So because otherwise we don't want our movie chopped up. So unless we had the opportunity to go elsewhere and shoot or something, but but there's a little bit of everything. So
So how do you describe the movie in like the shortest way possible? If you had to give someone, like.
Yeah, so I would just call it drama horror, drama / horror. So it's something that you are curious about. You may be repulsed along the way as to what's happening to this guy, but at the same time you sympathize and you feel sorry for him. So just to give one like really old reference, just to get a feel, is something like The Fly. It wasn't scary. The Fly wasn't a scary movie. It was just repulsive or curious in the sense that what is happening to this guy, and then you actually just feel bad for him. But yes, he does eat flesh and
sure. Yeah. So is there any flesh eating going on this one? Like
a zombie. Come on, what does a zombie eat? You watch the movie.
Right. And so again, there was no pre-license for a movie like this. You had nothing in India at least to look back on. So
Nowhere.
How did you do? I mean, this was completely like a fresh start and different avenues.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so that's just like we've just kind of probably watched most of the zombie movies that exist out there. But so even within those, even the classics and even the new ones, the biggies and everything, we have not really seen just one zombie forming. We've not seen one guy turning into a zombie. So there is no reference at all. I mean, whether it's local, international, anywhere. So we just thought it's literally repeating again. It's ABC of zombies. So it was even new for us, new for the whole team, and so we were just learning something every day.
And there's about this guerrilla style filmmaking. You guys did a lot of that. Considering you guys had to like go all out.
Correct. Well, it's a hands-on experience. So it's like, okay, fine. It has to be a team effort. So everybody knew what they had to put in, and whether it was Luke and myself, of course, but the DOP Marzi Pagdiwala, and so he's been our big support system. So with his inputs as well and everything. So I mean, it's been everybody knew what to go with, it's like whether it was in shooting in the jungles, whether it was shooting here. So it was literally a kind of a learning experience for everybody. And we are definitely new on the scene, so we are game to do a lot of things ourselves as well. So it was like, I would just say it was a completely team effort, which I hope most people are curious to watch.
So So which are your favorite zombie flicks? Like, if you could name.
Oh, there are so many. But to start off with, like, yes, my one favorite one, max over everything is Dawn of the Dead.
Right. The old one or the new one?
The old one.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's the second one that came out after Night of the Living Dead. It was Dawn of the Dead. It was set in a mall. And yeah, but all. I mean, I love, as I said, we watch even like the B-grade horror movies. Right. So, yeah, this is like a favorite.
Right.
But
and what about, like, I think you put this one out, like, Luke being the zombie Brad Pitt of
No. It was Kirti used to pull his leg actually. So it's like, she used to tease him. It's like, yeah, like, okay, fine.
Yeah, like a little bit of the onset scene.
Yeah.
Like, how was that? How was the atmosphere? And, like, how did you guys like?
It was just fun because it was again only because it was a first. So even the crew, the people who are like or the 25, 30 of us. It's like everyone was curious about what are we shooting. Like what is this guy? What's the makeup about and everything. Right. So everyone. So whether it was the Bombay scenes, of course, were the kind of the sane ones, and then we go to the jungle where things start happening. So over there, even the locals where we were shooting, the little village and town that we were shooting, were absolutely excited. Like, ye kya hai? Because it is not a typical Bollywood shoot set or whatever. And so there's this guy who's roaming around with this strange makeup, and it was crazy. And even the crew was learning something every day, and they were so with it. Like, okay, we're about to do something different. But yeah.
Right. So what does the average moviegoer expect from this film of yours? Like, what have you made for them this time?
Okay, we're just hoping that they are curious enough to come and at least check this film out, because it's. Yes, as I said, new concept, a zombie movie. But even if they're not a horror film fans, but as I said, it's drama horror. So maybe it's kind of something that they could kind of. I mean, the boy can take his girlfriend out, and if she, or vice versa, whoever's the horror fan. But give it a chance. Basically.
So is there any zombie item number in this one?
There is no zombie item number, but there happens to be a bachelor party in which there is some, watch the movie.
Okay, sure,
Yeah.
And so what about making sequels to this one? You guys are, pretty
it's
up on making, telling people more about, where it starts from, so.
Well, we thought that, kind of let's play out the story. So we, as I said, in the first one is just telling us about and showing us this one person turning into a zombie. But we would like to tap all the other characters because, come on, once he is turned or is turning or whatever happens to him at the end of this story, we are curious to know what happens to the other characters, his girlfriend, his friend, his father. And so we would like to pursue that part of the story and expand it into a bigger canvas. So let's hope that happens. Yeah, we're working on it.
Sure. So tell us a little about technology helping you guys with putting together this sort of a film,
Yeah. Well, actually, yes, of course, as we've been repeatedly saying that it is a small budget film, yes, but at the same time, because it's so new and fresh to our scene comparatively, so we thought, okay, let's play with the whole genre, the whole zombie world. So we thought let's kind of even have fun with a video game, So we are creating and have created a zombie game. So that should be fun. It's just exciting to put it out there. Then even comic books. So we have like 6 of them coming out in sequence. So that's been so exciting to kind of see it take shape and everything. And so we thought like, okay, fine, with this film, it makes sense to do it because it's not like you're going to have actors faces or anything. It's zombie. It's like a neutral platform, yeah. So you can just tap every area of it. So yes, we also have, as I said, comic books. You have the game. You have merchandise. So we have these T-shirts and stuff. So we kind of playing with the whole zombie-ness of the whole genre rather than just kind of target, like when we don't have like an actor's face T-shirt or something which people are not interested in.
So how did you guys also decide on the title, like, Rise of the Zombie, like,
So yeah, that was something which we kind of broke our heads over actually, because we thought like, okay, fine, let's keep the title in English and then at the same time explaining itself, like, you know, so it's like Rise of the Zombie, which is the beginning. It's like how this one zombie literally rises. So it's like, it's just that, it's what it is. So we didn't want to call it anything.
Right.
Yeah, just keeping it simple.
Also, so how hot is Luke looking as a zombie, like, you know?
How? As in, like, well, he has to look, he had to look more wasted every day. So that was like a process, you know, so which you will obviously see for yourself.
Well, that's great. Thanks so much for talking to us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks so much for chatting. Yeah.